Welcome to Beyond Great Sex, the podcast that will revolutionize your sex life. I'm Morgan Horn. I'm a sex and intimacy coach, and I am going to give you the tools to create the mind-blowing sex life that you've been craving. When you apply the teachings from this podcast, you will drop the shame, limiting beliefs, and everything else that has been keeping you from enjoying the intimacy that you were designed to experience. Instead, you will unleash your unlimited potential, sexual and beyond. When you work with me, great sex is only the beginning. We're going beyond. Hey, lovelies. Today I want to continue the discussion we started last week. If you listened to last week's episode, you will remember my client Isabel, who was feeling very angry and sad because she thought her husband was only affectionate towards her when he wanted sex. She felt unappreciated, she felt used, she felt everything but loved. We saw in the episode that her anger and sadness came from her thoughts about her husband's actions, and that by opening up to other possibilities and considering other interpretations of the facts, she had a sort of aha moment, and it changed everything for her. But then I kept thinking about our session and why so many women have this all he cares about is sex narrative about their male partners. And I'm still convinced that a large part of this problem comes from the difference in the expression of desire in a majority of men and women. As we have seen with Isabel and her husband Mark, and this is the case for a large number of heterosexual couples, Mark's desire tends to be quite spontaneous. It is enough for him to think about sex, to see her in a certain position, or to put his arms around her for him to want her. For Isabel to feel desire, however, she needs to be more stimulated. She needs a certain context conducive to desire, shared moments together where she feels close to her husband. And often desire only arises in response to pleasure when intimacy has already begun. Once Isabel realized that she and her husband have a different expression of desire and that he does not function in the same way as she does, all her interpretations of his actions fell through. If we all received proper sex education, I'm personally convinced that this dynamic would no longer be such a problem for couples, because once we understand how the other person functions, we can stop torturing ourselves with theories about why they don't act like we do. But beyond that, I think this narrative of that's all he cares about raises deeper questions about sex. And that's what I want to talk about today. We have this picture of the guy who only thinks about sex, who is only interested in getting laid, who is going to use you, watch out. And that creates a lot of mistrust for many women. I do believe it circles back to the difference in the expression of desire that we just talked about. It's true that desire can spark faster for a majority of men than for most women, which can give the impression that they only think about sex, or at least more than women do. But I also think that history is to blame. And whatever the root cause of this, religion, societal standards, doesn't matter. We have integrated the concept that sex is somehow a commodity, a kind of merchandise that women trade with men in exchange for something, in exchange for marriage, a comfortable dowry, good behavior. And even today, we are told that there is an appropriate number of dates before a woman should sleep with a man, as if giving him this thing, sex, too early would be a mistake. And I hear women joking that their husband misbehaved, that he forgot their birthday or didn't buy them this or that for Valentine's Day. And so guess who's not getting any tonight? But what's the concept here really? Are flowers worth a blowjob and a diamond bracelet anal sex? And I understand it's often said in a humorous way, right? But I think that even if it's just for fun, it still shows that there is this concept of commodity, of trading sex in exchange for something or as a reward of some sort. And I believe that keeping up with this notion, even just as a joke, does not serve us. And yes, there are men who only want to have sex, who are not interested beyond that point. Side note, there are women who don't want more either. And yes, there are pigs out there who expect something in return when they offer you a drink or pay for dinner. Again, because of this concept of commodity. But here we are talking about couples and men who have chosen to be in a relationship. I think that perpetuating this narrative creates unnecessary mistrust among women. If you entertain the narrative that all your partner is interested in is sex, every action he takes, every gesture he makes towards you, every compliment he gives you will be just another move in his Machiavellian plan to use you for sexual purposes. And I say this with humor and love, but it's a real issue for many couples. But babe, ask yourself this question. If all your partner was really interested in was sex, don't you think he could get it somewhere else? Why would he be in a relationship in the first place? Perhaps, and just perhaps, when he's affectionate towards you, when he compliments you or makes any kind of move, it's simply because he wants to be with you, to spend time with you, because he thinks you're beautiful and sexy. And that brings me to the last point I wanted to make, and that is, what if sometimes your partner does indeed come to you only because he wants to have sex? Is that so bad? Isn't it a good thing that your partner wants you? Isn't it part of being in a relationship? I don't like to push stereotypes, but you will rarely hear a man complain that the night before his wife used him for sex. On the contrary, it would be a turn on for many. The reason why it bothers so many women is again because of this concept of sex being a commodity and the fact that women feel that they are giving something or doing it for someone else. Looking back at the woman who, even only as a joke, says that her husband isn't getting any tonight because he forgot her birthday, I, for one, have never thought of withholding sex because he did or didn't do something. And why has that literally never occurred to me? Simply because I've never seen sex as something I do for the other person, that I give away, or that they take away from me. I think of sex as something I do for myself to start with, because I just enjoy it. If I withheld sex, I'd only be punishing myself. So yes, he can forget my birthday and still get a blowjob because I want to give one, and not in exchange of something or as a reward of some sort. So if you ever felt like your partner is only interested in sex or only comes to you when he wants something from you and you feel used, I invite you to look at things differently. Instead of thinking of sex as something you do or give to your partner, what if instead you thought of sex as an activity that you enjoy doing together, as something that you share? Because when you think about it, you give yourself to each other. It's not just one way around, is it? So I invite you to see sex as something you enjoy doing together because you feel pleasure when you have sex, because you have fun together, because you feel closer to one another. Bonus point if you manage to think that you are doing it for yourself, for you personally. But that's something we'll dive in deeper in another episode. All right, lovelies, that's it for today. I'll speak to you soon. If you have loved this episode, please add a rating, write a review, and share it around to help spread the word to all the women out there who need to hear this. I am so grateful for you listening. And if you are ready to take this work deeper, book your discovery session with me at www.morganhorn.com. That is MORGANEHORN.com. We will explore any issue you would like help with, and you will learn all about my coaching program so you can get started on creating the sex life of your wildest dreams. I will see you there.